Daniel Robson-Petch hyphen. Thank you for doing this, man. I guess let's keep going from what we were just talking about. You guys actually refined and changed quite a few things over the last few months in this year. Do you want to talk about some of those things that maybe a lot of coaches and trainers and business owners could probably take from things that you've learned in that time?
Yeah, of course. So again, thanks for having me, Alexander. It's awesome to be here. Such a pleasure to be involved. I guess for us, we could have this could have made us or break us this last 6 months. So we put a lot of effort into making sure that we didn't just sit on our ass and just do absolutely nothing. We actually changed our marketing tactics. We renovated our whole facility. So for those that aren't aware, we run Resistance Sports Science here in Brisbane. So it needed a bit of a makeover and it needed a bit more TLC, I suppose. So we got in, got our hands dirty. I think this sort of opportunity gives us time to actually reflect and go, how can we make our business better? How can we do better for our athletes? So we actually changed what we're doing in terms of our athlete development programs. We are now incorporating a few more things where we can see them more regularly at almost a cheaper price too. So a couple of little things like that where we thought we can't just sit here and do nothing. There's so much potential, I guess, we can use with a couple of months off, which I'll never ever get this time again. I don't reckon anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. That time is such a unique time of where you get so much of it to really zoom out and look at business personally as well. Like, am I really doing what I want to do? Am I going the direction I want to go? Did you kind of have a moment of reflection like that?
Yeah, we did. We pump up a lot with education stuff and that sort of thing, but for us, we're going, how can we actually be better than what we're doing? For us, we want to be the highest standard possible, especially here in Queensland. And it was a great time to reflect and go, we're doing a good job with our athletes, but how can we see them more? How can we take control of their program and from there put their athletic performance into our hands rather than going, we'll see you once a week or we'll see you once, whatever. And then best of luck on the weekend. We've actually now got way more control of the guys that we're seeing, which puts them in a better stead as well. It gives them a bit more trust in us. So, I couldn't rate a couple of months like this any more highly. It was unbelievable.
I'm curious, what are the actual practical things that you guys have changed on how you interact and communicate with your athletes and clients?
Yeah, right. So we've actually gone on board with Team Builder. That was huge for us. So with the EAA as well, we've linked up with Team Builder, as you may have seen in our Instagram post. So to actually prescribe all our sessions through a nice software, I think it's been a really big one for us. Previously, we used just a Google Sheet, which was quick and easy to use, and it did work, but I think professionally it's something we could have changed. So that's something we're implementing straight away. And we're also doing a bit of a program where we've got small groups involved now, so I can see our athletes, as I'm saying, a bit more regularly. So rather than seeing us just once a week, they can come in a small group of up to about 5 or 6, and I can see them 13 times weekly, which is huge for them and huge for us.
Really interesting. I just looked up Team Builder while you were speaking, and it's a strength and conditioning software that looks like is a really kind of professional way to track and monitor progress.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that? What's the main? Would you recommend that for is that something you wish you had when you were starting out in this industry? Is that you'd recommend that for earlier coaches and trainers?
Yeah, definitely. I think you'd probably have to definitely put the time to sit down and understand what you're tracking, I suppose. I mean, you can track everything in the world, but really there's a couple of things that, you could be wasting your time for tracking 100 different things. So we like, obviously, wellness, and I like muscle soreness, so hammies to the quads and calves, just to keep track. And then up here on load through training, we find is huge as well. So to have that, especially if I was, coming through the ranks, to have that sort of software, this was 8 or something years ago, it would have been huge for my development as well. So to have this out here now, I think it's a really good opportunity for young guys and girls coming through.
That's
definitely
interesting. Hopefully that's a valuable resource. That makes me think, as a business owner, as a coach, for many years, what would you tell those personal trainers? As you obviously know very well, Orphic, we train coaches. We prepare and certify personal trainers become personal trainers. What do you tell those younger guys and girls coming through? Like, yeah, what advice do you have for them? What would you tell them that you wish you knew?
Yeah, good question. I think that you just got to get experience in. So whilst I was studying uni, I made sure I was doing my PT course at the same time. Even before that, I was training my family. I was training guys at the park, just a bit of running stuff. Yeah. I was just, even in year 10, it's actually when it all started, I had a guy who wanted to lose a bit of weight and he kept complaining about it. And I said, look, I love the exercise side of things. Why don't I have a crack at trying to get this weight off? We'll do a bit of running before school. So that's where it all started for me. And it just, I guess, the more you get your hands on, the more you can start learning and educating yourself, the better your career is going to be, and fast-tracked as well, I suppose. I think if you can ask the right questions as well, so find the right people, whether that's here at Resistance, that's guys at Orphic, whoever it is, asking the right questions is probably where I went wrong at the start, where I just thought I knew everything. I thought I was really fucking good at my job. But then I went somewhere else in Brizzy and I got absolutely slammed for how poor, I guess, my knowledge was. And this was only 4 or something years ago. So I guess my advice is get in there, learn as much as you can, educate yourself, ask the right questions, but definitely try your best to get hands-on and help family, help whoever you can to start you off.
I think that is what I tell a lot of them. I think the big mistake a lot of uni students make, and even personal trainers doing certificates and diplomas, is that they just do the theory and they don't do any coaching alongside to rehearse and practice their theory they're learning. Like some of the biggest value that I get from tertiary education is when I can take what I just learned from human growth and development, understanding adolescence, puberty, how females develop different than males, and then go train juniors and see it in front of me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's one thing I try and slam even here at Resistance is as soon as we try and take something on board or we learn something new, whether we've got a podiatrist that comes in and teaches new gait mechanics or something like that, that we can go straight into it and let's go, your next client, your next couple of clients, can we have a look and let's just try and see if we're seeing what they're seeing. And then if there's any practical applications we can put straight away, because we feel as soon as you do that, it sinks in and it becomes part of your new repertoire, I suppose.
Well said. It sinks in. Like you need to put it in practice to sink it in. Otherwise, it just becomes like a foreign, far ago memory. Yeah. We haven't even talked about. Probably a good place to start is who you are and what you do, but also the initiative and the project you have at Exercise Association Australia. I think this is up and coming. Business and association. You're trying to build. Describe what it is. Give us the elevator pitch on what it is and why people should really care about it. Because everybody almost knows Fitness Australia. Yep. And if we can use that as like a way to compare and contrast the differences or similarities and why it matters, that would be great.
Yep. So, basically in a nutshell, the Exercise Association Australia is basically, I would say, filling the gap. This has been a couple of years in the making. It's not something we've just made up in 6 to 8 weeks. It's probably in all honesty 2 years we've been creating it. And the idea is basically we're trying to create an association and a community where people can get together, share ideas, but also there's a reason behind why they're becoming accredited behind an association like this. So practical applications are huge. We would have asked hundreds of different coaches before this happened as to why or what they think are missing in the industry at the moment. So again, we're trying to fill that gap. So practical application of learning is huge. PTs coming in and learning with hands-on, real-life, real-time experienced coaches is what we want to deliver. And the same when it goes to exercise scientists, exercise physiologists. They come out of uni at the moment and they're still not ready. They're still not ready to take on big rehab clients or, return to sport athletes, for an example. So we're trying to fill that gap and fill that extra knowledge, I suppose, and build a standard. So we look at the guys in the UK and in America, that the standard to actually become accredited is so high. Currently...
How is it different? I'm curious. I never heard of that.
Yeah, so the actual the way to get in, I suppose it's you can actually might take 5 or 6 different goes to actually become accredited down in the UK. They look at how you teach, how you coach, can you do this properly, and we're kind of taking a very similar approach to that, where if you can actually perform your job properly, we're not so much after how many hours you've worked as an intern or how many hours you've done here or there. What we're actually looking for is your practical knowledge and your practical ability to apply. So, as a coach, can you teach all the basics first? So squat, deadlift, all the easy stuff. But then, can you also program? Can you write a 16-week program for an athlete? If you're an EP, can you write a program for the elderly? PTs, can you write a really proper, in detail program for those that want weight loss or weight gain and stay healthy, that sort of thing. So I guess the difference is the standard of which we're trying to promote.
Okay, interesting. How do you guys actually implement with your like, do you have assessments? Like, what are the ways you try and hold coaches accountable to this standard practically?
Yeah, awesome. So I guess the very start, so when people attempt to become accredited, it is at the moment online, but it will be also in person. But it is a bit of an exam. So basically, we want to show, you've got to show us your understanding of how to coach. And a big one for me, and I'm huge on this at resistance as well, is how can you fix something that's not right? So I would say 9 times out of 10, you've got a client or a person in front of you squatting. There's something that we could probably change or fix to make that squat better. So throughout that exam, you've basically got to tell us how you would change this squat, how would you fix this deadlift, this lunge, bent over row, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. And then they've got to send in their programs as well. So you need to show me you can write a program for elite athletes, if it's a weight loss program, whatever it is, depending on the accreditation. And so we've got to be very thorough with that. It's a 100% pass or fail. If there's one wrong, it's not accepted just yet. So we're going to look at, you have to hit 100% to make sure you get that accreditation. So the standard is quite high.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. And so basically students, like, to give students an idea of, like, they'll have to send videos off of them coaching and talking through certain movement patterns and theories on certain topics.
Exactly, yeah. So they'll have to send through how they coach. They'll show through a couple of demos, and then they'll send through me some written answers of what they do to change this, or what exercise they'd give to assist in that exercise. Yeah. And then there's these series. I think there's a cardiac one for EPs. There's more weight management for PTs. So there's all these different sort of tailored, I suppose, questions.
Okay, in that case, it's not really like Fitness Australia at all. It's not even, in the ballpark where that's. Well, I don't even really know. What do they really do? No disrespect, but I think that's the disconnect. Maybe more of as a education information body they are, but for you guys, maybe a good comparison to give people context is ASCA, Australian Strength and Conditioning Association. How do you guys think about then the comparison to an organization like that, which has integrated courses similar to what you're describing in that way? Do you guys feel it's a similar type of model, or it's different?
Yeah, I actually do plan to get in contact with ASCA. I haven't just yet, but I do think what they're doing is a very good thing for Australian S&Cs, definitely. I guess for us, ASCA would find it very strength and conditioning related, as it's in the name. Us, we're going to focus more so on the whole spectrum, so from PT up to XPhys.
Got it.
Looking at just the practical applications of when you're not so much just teaching sport, or you're not out there, running, conditioning, or whatever, that sort of thing, but also what we're doing for everyone else in between that. So Debbie, who comes in with a crooked knee, how can we tailor something around her work, her life, what she wants to achieve? So it's kind of this, I guess we're a very, very broad spectrum where we're trying to bring the whole exercise community together. And ASCA do a fantastic job with the strength conditioning side of things in the sport. I think they're doing amazing. And the level of coaches they've got are incredible. And it's something that we want to see with us as well eventually. But yeah, I guess that's probably our difference is the scope of what we're trying to, or who we're trying to work with.
Yeah. No, thank you for clarifying that. That's important. So it's a much wider scope, kind of to get not just the S&C coaches, but speak to the personal trainers who work with a wide variety of individuals.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
And I wonder, because you kind of alluded to it, but what do you see of, like, what do you want EAA to become over the next 5 to 10 years? What do you think people can expect?
Yeah. So it's a good question. So the vision is basically we want a real big Australian community, which the EAA creates. So we've got the Coaches Forum, which we'll be launching out fairly soon. And basically that's a magazine which we're going to put in all different coaches, their stories, their tips and tricks, some new research, that sort of thing. So people have something that they can go, hey, that's such and such, and he's made the magazine. How cool is that? So a bit more community-based. But overall, the plan of the EAA is to make the standard of coaching in Australia a hell of a lot better. So I think now we're making moves. I mean, there's coaches out there who's doing a phenomenal job, but there's still coaches come out and say they're PT courses and even ex-science, ex-phys. And there's just not the level of understanding they need if they're going to go and actually work with high-end sort of people, athletes, whatever it is, or even high risk. So I guess our 5-year plan or 5-10-year plan is to make sure the standard and the bar is raised dramatically. So the guys, when they're coming out of these unis and personal training courses, are 100% ready to roll when they're working with real people.
Absolutely. I mean, that's so important. That's why we try and make our course as comprehensive and practical and hands-on as possible, because there is this huge gap in that students are like, we've had people come to us and saying, I've done a certificate before, I did not feel prepared, I need to do it again.
Yeah.
It's like that. What? That shouldn't happen.
Exactly.
What? Yeah. What? But it does, because there's obviously a huge gap in, well, who really holds us accountable? Who's the regulating body for a standard?
Yeah, that's it.
And that's, I assume, where EAA wants to be that standard. Like, if you are accredited through EAA, you are a competent, respected. I mean, you fill in the gaps. What words do you associate with having an EAA accreditation?
Yeah. So we would look at it as a privilege, I suppose, to be accredited through the EAA. So we'd love the guys that do become accredited to put that on their resume with absolute pride, saying, I've actually become accredited through the hardest accreditation process in Australia. I've passed all the competency tests. I've done my physical. I've done all the written questions. I, as a coach, understand all the fundamentals to go work in a sporting team, to work with elite athletes, or, Debbie who hurt her knee, as an example.
Yeah. How do you... It's always difficult when you're coming up from the ground up and you're trying to build this thing into something big and influential. How do you get people to care? Because at the start of something, you need first movers. You need people to take the step and build some acumen and some. We have thousands of coaches already. You build some authority. How do you get people to initially first take that leap and become accredited? Like, if you have many personal trainers probably listening to this, what are you telling them right now to get them to care about signing up?
Yeah, okay, great question. This is something which is much bigger than myself, Resistance, One Gym as an example. It's something that I think it's been lacking so far in the exercise industry. So there hasn't been any real support for personal trainers, exercise science. We look at the moment with COVID, we've been told straight away that the only people that can practice are exercise physiologists, which to me, what's all that about? I think it's absolutely ridiculous. So we're trying to put everyone in the same sort of category where we're exercise professionals, but we specialize in different sort of categories. Awesome. So I think that's a big one for us. I mean, the EAA is designed and always will be a member-run association, which is for its members. So we're after people that want to be involved, that are keen to see something, keen to see change. And I find that, by pumping up, by encouraging other people, like by using their good work, we're actually growing quite, a pretty steady rate by actually using the accomplishments of others and saying, look how well this person's doing. And by that, we're finding that everyone else actually wants to get involved. I want to go, well, I actually want to, put up this bit of content so I can show that I'm doing a good job as well. So almost kind of trying to raise that bar by acknowledging those that are doing a really good job. At the moment, it seems to be paying off, yeah.
I hope so, man. The industry needs people like yourself. I mean, someone has to do it, right? Someone has to step up and be like, all right, we got to create this high standard. Otherwise, who else is going to do it?
Yeah, exactly.
Why do you think? I mean, it's quite an interesting thing. You got EPs and allied health professionals. They can function through all of this fine. They are looked at as an allied health professional. They get those perks and a regulation, and they have their standards. Like, you can't call it. They're protected, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before in previous podcasts, but do you think it's even a worthwhile conversation to have about whether personal trainers and coaches could be lumped in as an allied health professional? How do you think coaches and trainers can behave to raise their own standard to earn that?
Yeah, I think personal trainers have been shafted a little bit too much in the last couple of years, and I think they definitely have their place within allied health community. And I think what we need to do is we need to educate them greater on injury prevention. So where I think that's where me personally, their biggest role is injury prevention, health, and lifestyle fitness. And from there, if there's an injury from there on, that's when we start looking on to maybe that's your exercise scientist, your exercise physiologist. If there's your cardiac issues and that sort of thing, then we go, it's more EP based. We'll leave them alone. So I think PTs need to have their say in an allied health spectrum. Because at the moment, they're not getting much support really at all. And to be honest, exercise scientists are just overprivileged personal trainers from the sound of things. So we're trying to change this persona of all these different health professions. PTs definitely need to have a greater say, and their involvement in what we're doing in local communities, in health and fitness regimes, people keeping healthy and active. I think it needs to be said that they need to have some sort of involvement. So going off a bit of a tangent there, but we are trying to, and this will be, in the next year or two, we're hoping to lobby for it, that PTs actually have some sort of healthcare benefit. And that's the same with ex-science as well, which ex-science and PTs at the moment are getting absolutely nothing. And I think there's a bit of room for leeway for that.
That's interesting. How do you lobby for it? What do you actually do in that case?
Yes, good question. It's a lot of tough conversations, a lot of phone calls, but I've also the right people are going to do it for me. So this is not going to be me doing it. What we need is numbers. So I've put a post up a couple of weeks ago, actually. We need about 500 coaches to show that we are actually a genuine association that's got genuine backing. From there, we can go to, the right governments, the right legislation and people that we go, this is what we have, this is who we are, this is what we have, and this is the case we need to put forth. And basically, it'll be written up from more law experts over me. I can, have my say, but they'll be the ones writing it, and it's going to be a back and forth argument, left and right, with governments to see if we can actually make change.
Wow, I know I've spoken to some coaches who think that's not even a worthwhile fight. We should just raise our own standard, and we should hold each other accountable. We don't deserve that until we can hold ourselves to a better standard, right? But why can't we do both? And exactly. I think, man, you have our and my full support in that, man, because that if we can attack it from both ends, like the accreditation, we can raise the standard through our certifications, like what we're trying to do, through the education we're trying to provide, drown out all the nonsense, and all the misinformation and lies and just money-hungry people who are in it for. And if we can shift it towards and raise this standard, then that can create some, I think, pretty powerful change.
Yeah, no, I agree. And if we have this, hence why the accreditation process, we've made it so difficult to actually attain. Yeah. We're going to show that when we get these 500 members or these 500 coaches, these are some of the best coaches in Australia, and they deserve some sort of recognition. So look at it. We'll show our accreditation process, how it's different to, they did 100 hours. Me personally, I did 300 hours of Gold Coast Suns, but I was wheeling bikes around. I was cleaning the gym. I was doing all this crap, which didn't, relate to my coaching career at all. So hence why we cut out the hour system. And yeah, so we're trying to say that with this standard, why can't EAA coaches have some sort of benefit like all these EPs do when we're just almost as educated?
Oh, so it would essentially... Oh, interesting. So it would be... Would you try and make the change from a lobbying government perspective for all personal trainers in the state of Queensland or Australia? Or would it be our EAA accredited trainers because they've passed a certain accreditation? Which one would it be?
We would be looking at EAA coaches will have the ability to have those extra benefits. Definitely.
Now, that is going to set you apart, because if you have some type of governmental advantage where you get, like, I don't know, rebates, for example, or free insurance, I don't know, like there's all these different perks, like you're protected, like under legislation.
Exactly.
Like that now is a point of difference that can attract people to you.
Exactly. Yeah. It's probably something we need to probably put out more in terms of our bit of marketing and of our social media stuff. But in the next couple of months, it's definitely something we're going to slam. And I guess what we're after is people to hear that message and actually get on board.
Yeah.
It's not something that we're just going to be taking lightly and, money comes in, money goes out. Basically, we need this support from the Australian coaches so we can actually make these sort of things happen, which at the moment doesn't look likely from anywhere else.
You mean from any other people doing this?
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's just there's no one else really trying to do it.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's that is. What's the timeline on that? When can people expect? Say again.
Hopefully, we're aiming for 2 years.
Okay. Well, will you keep us updated? We'll speak again in the future about this.
You heard it here first.
Exactly. We're just planting seeds for the future.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll see where we end up. And I know, speaking of allied health professionals, one of the things we wanted to talk about was, obviously you have a strong emphasis and relationship with that allied health network. But often there's this disconnect, like between personal trainers referring out to physios and other health professionals, and vice versa. How do you think personal trainers and coaches and vice versa, allied health professionals, can integrate and communicate more effectively?
Yeah. Good question. So I am a firm believer that ex-science, if I start there, have the ability, if they're educated enough, to take a low-end rehab based programs. So I'm ex-science qualified, and I do a lot of ACL rehabs. I can only do that because I've got the right education, and I've been through the right courses, I've done all this sort of stuff, which gives me the confidence to do it. I feel as though that personal trainers should have the ability to rehab small niggles. So if there's like a impingement or if there's a ITB pain or something like that, it's actually not that hard to work on yourself, as long as you've got the right knowledge and you understand body movement. I think PTs have been shafted a little bit where they're just health and fitness gurus, and that's about it. But they can really play a big role in injury prevention. I think they should still, there's the fine line of being able to try a couple of things. If something doesn't work in a couple of weeks, then we go, all right, maybe this is not the right situation, let's move on. But using an EP, a physio, and even ex-sciences guidance, I feel like should be huge for a PT that needs sort of rehab clientele that, if it's a post-surgery, if it's a, something a bit more severe, then I'd definitely try and get them to use other, higher support. And this lower end of the spectrum, if there's more health and fitness-based stuff, I would try and get the EPs, ex-science, to actually refer on to PTs if we can. I know there's a bit of this is my client, go away, but this is the sort of thing we're trying to nut out is we've all got our specialties, and I feel as though that moment we're kind of just trying to take on everything a little bit too much. I've had a couple of PTs refer into resistance, which is awesome. At the same time, we've got to have that respect to refer back as well. The last thing I want to see is a PT refers to me for an ACL client and I go, fantastic, now I'm going to take the rest of this, and you want to lose weight, oh, fantastic, I'm going to do that as well. We've got to have that respect, I suppose, if that makes sense, to go, this is part of your lane. I don't need to be involved in this next process, and hand back on.
Okay.
Yeah, I find it a tough question to answer fully, but there just needs to be that respect from all angles. And if we've got EAA coaches out there, we've got to understand that these guys know what they're talking about.
Interesting. Yeah, I think respecting boundaries and expertise.
Yep.
It sounds like the main takeaway there. But it's funny because you can't really teach respect. I mean, you can. Obviously, parents and mentors, they teach you through their actions that respect is an important quality. But some people, like, they'll see clients as dollar signs, and they'll see clients as people to prop them up and improve their status as a coach. And that to me, that's like, all right, I can see a lot of people not caring about that or not thinking about that. So I wonder how to communicate with those types of people.
I can't believe I've got a name drop here, but my partner Tio has so she's our marketing guru at Resistance and EAA. And basically what I found with this sort of thing is if you can find a niche that you really want to work with, those people will follow you. And for myself, I'm heading down the ACL route, and I'm just really promoting ACL, maybe hammy strains, that sort of thing. That I find has helped with the respect thing in terms of, if this person is not who I want to work with, then let's spread it apart. The people that I want to work with will come to me. I know that's a tough one, and it's hard to even, for new PTs coming in saying I'm just going to niche down, it's probably not the greatest thing to do straight away. But I think if we can, after we've had a bit of experience under our belt, for those that can say, yes, I'm good at this and I want to work with this, that gives everyone a bit of a lane to work in, and should help, I suppose, the relationship. But again, we're working with hundreds of thousands of people, so we can do what it's pretty tough.
Yeah, I think you just got to be the change you want to see, right? Like, lead by example. Like, we all know coaches who we could talk to, and we all know coaches who maybe aren't doing and communicating and integrating and respecting the expertise of our colleagues. And I think that's where we can step up and say, hey, man, it's like, we don't know everything.
Yeah, no, I agree, definitely.
And then, you mentioned your gym Resistance, so we haven't really talked about. Tell us, for the people up in Brisbane who are in the area, watching or listening, there's so many gyms, right, Daniel? Like, there's a million gyms. So it gets to a point now where I'm hearing a lot of coaches tell me, it's like, that's probably not the best idea. You don't probably need a brick and mortar place to be successful, influential, have a positive effect on a community. Why did you open that up, and like, what do you think separates Resistance as your point of difference from the rest?
So this was huge for us. So I actually worked in this same gym as a coach before we opened Resistance. So I bought it off a previous gym owner. But the gym that I was at was a very high intensity fitness-based gym, and in this area alone, there'd be 9 of them in the next 5 to 10K. So, and that's what we're seeing everywhere. And I see on Instagram all the time, new gyms popping up, the new way of training, this new intensity-based training, it's all the same. And it was like, we're not going to be that type of gym. So I guess what separates us is we're all uni qualified, but we do education once a week with each other, or we get external people in. And I guess what separates us is the knowledge to work with the high-end rehab to the low-end, basically the whole spectrum. People have got the confidence for us if they've hurt themselves, if they've been to a previous place and they've found that their knees give way after 6 or 8 weeks of their challenge or whatever, that they're not actually going to get that here. It's all about this really steady, progressive overload, which we all know about. I guess it's the sporting teams that we can work with. It's the rehab that we can do. It's the whole sort of spectrum of progressive loading rather than getting in post-COVID and absolutely smashing everyone. We don't really need to do that. We can just use our communication to go, look, we will smash you, but it's going to be progressively. Over the next 12 weeks, the last 4 weeks will be pretty tough. The next 8 weeks will be all strength building, making sure your foundations are there. As long as you're eating well, if it's body composition you're after, that's going to come with consistent training, and that's going to come with good eating. But we use the gym for more performance-based stuff where we're going, I want to get stronger. I want to be better at my sport. I want to be better at, whatever it is. So that's our difference. We're not going to smash you for absolutely no reason. We're going to use your whole lifestyle to figure out what we're going to program for.
Okay. So more of a well-rounded, sports science, exercise science, human science, I really should say. It's well beyond sport and exercise. Approach based in the roots of, tertiary education and continual development week to week.
Yeah.
Did I sum that up okay?
That sounds awesome. Yeah, I like it. I'll put it as my headline. I'll tell Tia.
No, because I'm trying to, you try and find like, right, what's their thing? Like, what is it in like one sentence, 2 sentence? Like, just trying to make sure I'm on the right track with what you guys do. And with your clients though, like we talked about earlier, you use that, what is it called? Team Builder.
Yep.
You use Team Builder to really upgrade the quality of your coaching from more of a maybe communication side or art of coaching side. How else do you guys approach coaching your clients and athletes and working with them that separates you guys and gives you basically your clients the success and benefit they get?
Yep. I guess for us, and I know you guys are big on it too, it's about educating the client in front of us. So where I went wrong at the start of my career was someone walk in, I'd tell them this is what we're going to do, I'll smash you, and then that's it, I'll see you next week. So I think what we do differently here is every single person that walks in the door, they'll see someone, but they'll also get a tailored plan. So basically, I think that's the difference is they'll come into the doors, they'll pick up their Excel sheet or their now Team Builder sheet and go, this is exactly what I need to do if I want to achieve what I want to achieve. So we're not going to leave people in the dark with their own training. I've written you 4 sessions a week. You've got 2 conditioning. You're out in the park doing this. I need you to do a bit of mobility work. I guess that's probably what separates us is that attention to detail for any client that walks in.
Yeah, that's big. I mean, do you think, I know we talked about it a little bit before, but early personal trainers with their knowledge and, fresh out of their certificate 3s and 4s, even our courses, right? They're going to have gaps. What do you think are those biggest gaps?
The biggest gaps? I think it's a good question. There's a few things. Like for us, it'll probably be a little bit different for when they're finishing these Orphic courses, because I know we'll be teaching it as well. So there'll be a lot of actual practical application that we'll be going through. But at the moment, if we're to say currently, people coming through, it's the extra details in the program. So I'll interview maybe 15 people a year. And I would say 13 of them would give me a program that looks like a bench press, squat, deadlift, bent over row, all in the same program. And it's just not doing anything. I would say, can we get a power program? And it looks exactly the same, but maybe they want them to perform it quicker or something. There's more box jumps. So I think that's the difference, and that's what's lacking is the ability to program for someone in front of them and then actually put in the little bits and pieces. Have we looked at their adductors and with their calves? Have we looked at all this proper strength training stuff, which is actually going to make a big improvement on their everyday life and sport, rather than just getting in and going, let's do a high intensity session, let's get this done, do a Metcon, bang, see you later.
So it sounds like, I think that's a great point about looking at those, even in the minute details, even looking at the and it goes to what you're saying about attention to detail. It's like, we see these big, large muscle groups, multi-joint, multi-planar compound movements, right? Check. But what you end up neglecting are those smaller stabilizer, synergist muscle groups that play a critical role, especially for our athletes in controlling deacceleration forces and helping stabilize joints through unstable positions. And when the calves, the adductors, the VMOs, the feet, the spinal extensors, when these muscle groups are weak or dysfunctional, then we see a cascade of problems.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah.
And that's something which with the EAA and with Orphic, I know we're trying to change. And this will be a 5-year minimum plan, I reckon, to actually get majority of PTs coming out of their degrees or their qualifications actually with this sort of knowledge. And I know when I did my PT course, it was very get in, let's do 100 burpees with 100 squat thrusters and see how fast you can do it. And we walk out of there absolutely smashed. But what's that really do in the long run for someone over 6-12 months? It's not something of, great worth, especially when they go back and they hurt themselves.
Absolutely. There's so many. When you're not held to a high standard, that becomes the norm.
Yeah.
Because what else do you know? Because anybody can make you sweat.
Exactly.
I heard DeFranco talk about like my grandma can write a program for you and it could be hard, or my kid can, right? But can you write a structured, intelligent, systematic, progressive, individualized program that is going to work for your client, and not just for that for that month or week, but for that day, and auto-regulate it day to day, week to week?
Yeah, exactly. That's it. That's one thing. That's an awesome point. When someone comes in, I only did it just yesterday. I had this whole session planned, and he goes, "I've just rolled my ankle. It is so sore." And I'm doing legs with him, going, "Oh, yeah, right, okay." So the ability to adapt is another big one. We can't just get in and smash everyone, especially if they've had a footy game on Saturday and they've come in Monday and they're still sore, still fatigued. There's just no room for it.
Absolutely. That's the art of coaching, is the ability to adapt and auto-regulate on the fly. It's like you end up quickly soon realizing that the majority of your programs, majority of the time, you're not doing everything that you said. You're having to adapt and adjust some variable based on the person's physiological state for that day or week.
Yeah, exactly.
I think one of the last places we want to finish off is what you briefly mentioned before. For people who don't know, we are partnering with you guys up in Brisbane and you guys are going to be facilitating, and we're going to be teaching. You're going to be teaching our courses through your facility, which is awesome and exciting. But let's be transparent. Obviously, this is a biased conversation, right? But in all seriousness, what attracted you to us? Let's be real, there's a lot of different certificates that you could have partnered with. Why Orphic?
Yeah, good question. So we actually came across you. It was actually through social media first, I think. And basically what we did was just had a look at what you were doing. We always had the plan to partner with a PT certificate. So we'd had a look around. We'd seen the generics, the online ones, the finish in 12 weeks, all this other, shit that's out there. What attracted us to you guys was, firstly, the people that you're working with already, which I thought was fantastic. So the gyms, like the likes of Athletes Authority with you guys, was huge because we know exactly what they're all about. But you guys, just the practical component where you weren't taking online learning as an answer. It was, we're going to show you the ins and outs and how to teach properly. It just resonated exactly with what the EA wants to do, and resistance. We're all about the practical component. So I thought this is an absolute perfect combination for us.
Yeah. If we talked about earlier in the conversation, what is one of the biggest, to finish off where we started, is what you talk about, Daniel, with the biggest, kind of gaps that people have is they don't have that practical experience, competency, and confidence from the things that they've learned in their certificate. And so right now we have 26 weeks of hands-on weekly 3-hour classes, and we're about to take it up a notch. We're about to make it longer and more comprehensive to really push the bar even higher.
Yeah, awesome.
So stay tuned for that. So that's exciting for us, and stay tuned, Brisbane and Queensland. We're going to be doing that very soon. And I guess to finish off the conversation, Daniel, do you have any last thoughts, comments, questions, asks of the people listening, or just where people can find you?
Yeah, I guess in terms of both, the EA is more of I guess I'll use this as a bit of a call out that if you've liked what you've heard, we want people to be involved. And this is a members-based organisation we're creating, which is basically, it's designed to help coaches. So we've made it very, very cheap as well. We don't want this to be a financial burden on someone. So we're after support from Australian coaches, and it's the only way we're going to get it off the ground is by the support of you guys. So that's something I wanted to really put out there on this webinar. For resistance, we're super excited for joining with Orphic Education. I think their PT course roughly will be maybe start of 2020, I believe.
Wait, you mean 2021?
2021, yeah, good call. So we're putting our work into the moment now to get that ready to roll. We've already had a couple of people ask us, the best sort of PT course, and we're trying to hold off and say just wait another 6 months, and there's a good one coming. So for Brisbane, look out. We're really trying to make big changes in the industry, and we can't wait to work with all these PTs across Queensland, across Australia with the EAA. So we're very excited, and we're really looking forward to it.
No, I appreciate it. And just to put it out there, the positive thing is, while our practicals will start for you guys in 2021, approximately, they can actually get started on the online learning system. We don't even like calling it that because there are practical assessments. We've got to figure a better name for it. We will. They could get started on the compulsory work that they have to do virtually, right?
Yeah.
And so then once they finish that, they can integrate really well into the practical. So just put it out there, they can still absolutely get through that process and hit the ground running.
Awesome. I'll make sure I start promoting.
Hey, it's just going to start filling and getting the people in the intakes early and prepared. Daniel, how can people sign up for EAA if they're interested or find out more? And about your gym resistance?
Yeah, so for the EAA, if you go to www.exercise.asn.au, that will pop up, and basically it's just you need to go to get accredited, follow the prompts there, and as soon as you pay $50 and you sign up, you'll actually get the whole sheet of how to actually become accredited. So it should be all sent to emails. Basically follow the links, send me your videos, and then from there we can give you the yes or no. With resistance, so we're at resistancess.com with the www.
The Resistance SS. What's the ASN? Exercise.asn. What is that?
That is association abbreviated.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Go on.
So yeah, feel free to go into that resistance. I think we haven't got our Orphic, our PT course up there yet, but that will probably be in the next month or so. We'll start pumping that up. But for now, feel free to have a look. My partner does she spends multiple hours on trying to make that thing look pretty. So I try and do the good work out there, and she does all the good work in here.
It's very important to have a team and of people who feel your weaknesses and gaps, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
So you don't have to do everything. Daniel, love to talk to you and meet you. Really excited about the partnership and working together and having that facility up in Queensland through what is a facility that cares, has a lot of attention to detail, and has a very high standard. That's exactly what we're about, and so we're excited for that.
Thank you so much, Alexander. I appreciate you having me on board. Hopefully you got a few listeners. Hopefully I didn't bore too many people. I know I can
No, you're right. Daniel, it's an important conversation, and important to introduce kind of what you guys are about for people curious. So yeah, I appreciate your time.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, mate. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome, man. I'll let you get up out of here, and then I'll finish off the call and outro it.
Righto. See you later.
All right. See you, Daniel. All right, guys. Webinar Wednesday number 14. We have done 14 of these. That was Daniel from EAA. It was a bit of a different one. Oh, that's ESSA. Don't put up ESSA on the screen. What I meant to put up was Daniel's website, exercise.asn.au, to just give you guys a little bit of a understanding of what it looks like and what they do. Look, I really hope he can create what he wants to create there with EAA, because we need it. We need to raise the standard in this industry, and the only way you do it is try by being the change that you want to see, and implementing and taking action, and actually starting these initiatives to raise that standard and become better. And so that's essentially what Daniel is attempting to do, and we are partnering with him because we believe we have similar values. And so for our future courses, Certificate 3 and 4 students who are looking to become certified and become a great personal trainer, we are not good for you if you're looking for a cheap course. if you don't have money to invest in yourself, we are not right for you. If you don't have time, if you are looking to fast track something, we are not the right fit for you. But if you're looking for something that's comprehensive, if you're looking for something that is detailed, if you're looking for something that is not easy, if you're looking for the path of least resistance, we are not for you. Like, we speak to people and it's like, it's difficult. It shouldn't be easy. We're not going to make it easy for you, right? Because you have people's lives in your hands. And so this whole conversation about raising the standard is about making it not easy to have someone's life and health in your hands. It is an honor and a privilege and a huge responsibility that you can severely change and mold and influence somebody in an effective and efficient way, or an inefficient and ineffective way, and potentially make their health worse. And if you don't have the tools, the resources, education, and practical skill set behind that, then you will not do a good job. You will send people backwards. You will be exactly the people that we have too many of in this industry. People who are just in it for money, or because I just like to exercise, or I just like to, I just like sport, and I like to lift weights, and so I want to see if I can help that. It doesn't have to be, but try and find what's the real reason. What do you really want to do this for? Because the people who really find their deep-rooted whys, and they have, like, it's ingrained in their belief system, those are the people who really make influential change, and those are the people who we want to work with. We don't want to work with everybody. We don't work with everybody. And it's antithetical to making money and business growing. We know that. But the reality is, we don't want to work with everybody, because not everybody's the right fit for us, and we're not the right fit for everybody. But if some of the values that we've described, attention to detail, comprehensiveness, practicality, practical skill set, hands-on, if some of those things speak to you, then we might be a really good fit for you. And you guys can contact us, Orphic Education. We do these weekly webinars every Wednesday, these weekly podcasts. They're on all podcast platforms. You see some previous guests we've had on. We have Mark Obertor next week. All these are on YouTube as well, and podcast platforms. If you guys want to be notified of when we do them next, just go to orphiceducation.com, click on Webinar Wednesday, and you'll see exactly. You can put in your name and email, and you'll be notified. Thank you guys for listening and watching. I'm Alexander Emanuel. You can find me on the internet, where I talk a whole bunch of stuff about everything. Otherwise, thank you guys for listening and watching.